All right. How's it going, everyone? Should be all live and up and running in 1 second. Nice. All right. We're in. Oh, let's turn that down. Nice. Hope everyone had a good week. Just been setting up all sorts of stuff over here this end. Launched the Patreon page a few days ago. So big thanks to everybody who subscribed to that already. You guys are total legends. I'm having a real good time working on all sorts of stuff. Loads of content that's going to get put on there. Put up the first tutorial a couple of days ago, and I got myriad ideas for pretty much infinite stream that's going to be going up on there. Going to be doing beginner, intermediate, more advanced videos as well, and I'm going to just they'll be kind of tagged accordingly, so you should be able to find what you're looking for. But the plan is to still carry on doing these weekly live streams here. I'm going to move everything over to YouTube, as it's just turns out to be a much better platform for streaming. Have to excuse the just noob-tastic behavior that's been going on as I stumble and crawl my way into creating a acceptable live stream experience for you guys. But think I'm getting kind of closer each week, and after each stream ends, I think, okay, this time I've cracked it, and next week's going to be a walk in the park, and then cue like 2 hours before the live stream, just desperately trying to work it out, and audio's not working and trying to improve it. But I think this one feels this feels a lot better. YouTube turns out is a lot easier to use than Facebook for live streaming. So hope if you guys can hear me all good on the mic, someone let me know in the chat room. I'm guessing it's all good, but today we're going to be taking a walk through my track Mox Diamond, which I released on Moxie's label On Loop at the end of last year. And I thought this could be quite a fun one to start with, because it's actually a kind of deceptively simple track when it comes to the production. And then, another time we can do one with some slightly more complex bits and pieces in there. But I kind of wanted to get across how simple kind of writing a tune can be sometimes. And it doesn't have to be this impossible dream that you're spending years and years working on. Sometimes you just can kind of get it going, and don't need to do anything too crazy with the production. So let's have just a little listen through some sections here, and you guys can let me know what the audio levels are like, because I know in the last video they were slightly off. So let's find out. Yeah, you guys let me know if the levels are all good. Just shout it out in the chat room, and I'll adjust accordingly if necessary. I mean, I won't really be doing too much talking over the track normally, but unless someone says otherwise, I'm going to assume that it's all good. So I'll just listen through to a couple more sections, just so you guys can reacclimatize yourself with the track, and if you haven't heard it, then you can have a little listen to it as well. now I'm feeling a little bit like the guy at the after party who's puts his own track on and then asks everybody to listen to it. Quite weird being on camera while just listening through it with you guys, but yeah, all good as well. Alright, so that's a little reminder of what the track sounds like, and now let's do a bit of delving into what's going on here. And a couple of things I want to just mention first. One is yeah, it is a bit of a shameless plug. Yeah, one thing I want to mention is, so if you've watched any of the previous live streams, you'll know that I'm a big pusher of writing the music in one project and then exporting all the stems to audio and then doing a separate mix down project starting from scratch. So this is obviously the track, the project that I wrote it in, so it's not mixed. So that's why it doesn't sound quite as punchy and massive as it would do after the mix, because there hasn't been too much done to it here. And the second thing I want to touch on is that I don't actually write in the arrangement view, I write in the session view. So let's maybe take a look at the session view instead, as this is how I would actually create the track from scratch. So start off with a 909 kick. Now I have a template set up so that whenever I start a new track, it's got kind of at least almost all the drums that I'm going to need. And so we'd have a, oh, actually, hold tight 1 second. Where is my exciting circle mouse thing? What is it called? Highlighter? That's the one that didn't work very well. I want to give you guys the full mouse experience. Was it this one? Well, this one will have to do. Yeah, there we go. There's a bit of yellow mouse. That's much more professional. So, template. So I've got and just like that, it's gone again. Sorry about this, guys. I'll just move this out of the way over there, or in fact, minimize. Okay, now we're good. So I would have, I'll do another tutorial for sure on exactly how I set up the template, but you can see I've got like a bunch of kicks down here in a drum rack, and you know, these sounds. Oh, in fact, that is actually not what I did here. I actually looked up a 909 and took a whole kit in there. Oh, this is what happens when you just dive into a project that you can't remember anymore. Snares, yes, this is from the template. So we've got a whole bunch of different snares, and you see they're all just like lined up in here in a drum rack. And so I'd have snares, hi-hats, percussion loops, effects, hits, all this sort of thing in a template, kind of covering the track as I opened it. But in this case, I was feeling that, you know, I wanted the track to have like a real kind of 90s housey, trancey vibe to it, and so 909 kick is just a guaranteed winner in this situation. And the Ableton, this is just from the Ableton inbuilt sample library, which is totally fantastic. I mean, if you never looked any further away than that and kind of the packs that you can get off Ableton, you'd be all good. But yeah, so to start it off, we got a 909 kick. There we are. So pretty straight, but with just a couple of extra hits in there to give it a bit of excitement. Then we added in the snares. Let's fold these up. So now I've got a bit of a send going on down here. I'll just open up what these look like here. This is a little delay send that I've got here. Yeah, so I'm just sending the snares over there to that send. So yeah, delay is just giving it a bit of groove there. And then I think it's time, I think I started adding in this little groove sample here. So this would have been cut out of a bigger groove, but if we solo it. So that would have been some sort of percussion loop, and I've just cut just the first beat from it. And that's just layering over the top. Then we got a little clave or clave. Never quite sure how to pronounce that actually. If someone can let me know in the chat, that would be good. Anyone know the correct pronunciation of clave clave? Okay, this one sounds like this. Over the top. And then we got a tabla, and this is what the original sample sounded like. But I time stretched it out, and so it sounded more like this. So it kind of lost all of its tabla-ness, but because tablas have got quite a lot of melodic features to them, yeah, you can kind of stretch them out and create a bit of a textural effect. So all together. And then looks like I got some sub-high. I mean, was that in there? Yeah, that was in there at the beginning. So this is the sub-line, but just an octave up. If you want to take a look at the sub-line itself, it's quite simple. Let's give you the kick as well. So yeah, it's got those hits on the one, and the rhythm just kind of drives it forward. The dun 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 dun. This little run here, da-da, gives it kind of some forward propulsion, and then the fact that you're kind of always hitting that bass on the first note just kind of stamps the presence. That bam right there. So kind of locks you into that groove, and then all together. Cool. So I know there's kind of many different ways that you can approach starting a track, as in the arrangement, and some people like to go for a kind of like very stripped back intro and then kind of build it up, and I do like that as well. But in this case, I felt like the track was gonna suit a kind of rolling, tracky, grooving vibe, and so I didn't really think there was too much to be gained from starting with very few elements. I thought you're gonna kind of just want to hear most of the groove from the get-go, so that's why I started like that. Then we brought in the sub. We're going to see here on the second scene. So in case you're not realizing how I write the music, I work downwards down through the session view. And so this is actually the arrangement going downwards, and then that will translate eventually to this one going across on the side. But what I would have done was I would have had one really, really long, complex scene here at the top, originally I would have kind of just recorded every single loop in pretty much over the top of each other, so there was way too much going on, and then I'd stop everything and then start trying out different loops together, and then start kind of working my way down that way. So for the second scene, we've got just a low version of the sub. Now, the sub is on operator, and this is just a tweaked preset on operator, the sub 2 sine bass, which is just a super fat sub sine. I normally take the time down because it has a bit of release on it. But yeah, I've just got a big cut going on here. So it's just sub, and then the high is just this kind of slightly more low midsy bit. And here we also have the introduction of the kind of 303 emulation. So that is this guy here. And this is also from an Ableton free pack. Can't remember exactly where it is from. We can find out. Yeah, I use this TB a lot. There's like 3 different versions that they have in here. Oh yeah, the Retro Synths pack. And then you've got the TB Lite, Ultra Light, and the Classic. And so yeah, this is kind of just got a bit of a 303 emulation vibe about it. Get you your acid sounds, and I've taken this one up high, and then we've also taken out some of the low end, and then I'm also using the Sound Toys Primal Tap, which is, if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I love Sound Toys. It's the tits. This is what it sounds like without. Very dry, and then back with. So yeah, it's the spring verb chorus on there. And now everything together, we've got so yeah, Gotham is out often and just asking, do I EQ all my tracks in the project file at all, or is everything done eventually in the Logic Mixdown file? You noticed I didn't have an EQ on the kick, but I did on the subs. So yeah, I do, as a rule, like try and not do any of the mixing in Ableton, but inevitably I do kind of end up doing a little bit as I go along the way, but I'd say probably 90% of it is done in Logic. So I wouldn't worry about EQing the kick here. But I did do a bit on these subs just because I wanted to create one really, really low sub and one higher up sub. So they're kind of like 2 different instruments, and I just duplicated the channel, played it up higher, and then did the little EQing to kind of create two different sounds, but merging together to make one. And then there'll be a bunch more production done on the Mixdown stage later. Then it's time to add in the next little grooved loop. So that is the ice groove. Now I don't have the original file, but I think what's happened here is there's been a bit of a loop that I've stuck in here. Then I have put some sort of auto filter on there, like chopped it up, taken out a little clip, put an auto filter on there, and that's what's just making it like that. So together, let's take it out, and then we'll add in that groove. Now bringing it in. Okay, taking it out. Back in. So yeah, I think one of the biggest questions that I'm always wondering and thinking about as I'm writing a track when I'm making all these loops is how long do I want the loop to be and how frequent do I want the sound to appear? Do I want it to just come in every 32 bars? Do I want it to be on every bar? Do I want something every other beat? I mean, these are kind of like massive questions that you're asking every time you put a loop into a track. And I think when writing 90s trancey house vibes, I tend to err more on the side of short loops repeating frequently. Kind of want to get quite a thick groove going and then just let it roll, right? And just keep on adding like more and more short loops to it. By the way, I can see there's more questions popping up in there, and I'll get back to those in a minute for sure. So we've got the groove was rolling along nicely there, and now it was time for some 16s hats. Yeah, so time to pick up the pace a little bit. So hats are coming in now. Yeah, so that's just, again, a bit of a slightly longer hat loop that I've just chopped into an even smaller one. And there it is. That's just kind of giving it that extra bit of action. Now, in the next scene, we add in a few new elements. We've got a long 303 and then one kind of vocal sample and another vocal sample that's a bit more textural. So let's deal with let's hear them all coming together and then we'll break them down. So, next section. So this long 303, this is another TB, again with this primal tap. I'm pretty sure I would have just duplicated this over and just played a longer one. So has this got any? No, that is just... So yeah, there is no modulation on that. That's just how the TB's rolling. Just got a little bit of wow, wow, wow. In fact, what does it sound like without the primal tap? Oh, I think what I've got on there potentially, although not sure why I can't see it, is maybe a bit of pitch bend MIDI control. Yes, there it is. So yeah, so I've just done a little bit of pitch bending on it while I've played it in. That's why it's doing that. Cool. Then a little vocal sample. Yeah, in fact, have I cut a little bit out? Yes, so I've actually just clipped a little bit of the end off this as well. And then lastly is this just little sound. So that's just adding some breath in there. And then we come back in. And I think it looks like I've switched up the snares here. More snares, yes. So layered the snares more once we come back in for this. This is kind of the bit of the track where I'm assuming the DJ is going to be probably just about mixed out of the track before, and now we're coming in 100% on the Diamond. So let's listen to the snares before. And then the snares just after the drop. So yeah, I've got another big snare on there, just adding an extra layer that's got some reverb on it. Can we see? Nope. That one, yeah. And these have also got some some redux on them, just downsampling them to give them a bit more kind of distortion and intensity. So in fact, we can listen to what that sounds like with and without. A little bit on there. Is there one on the whole channel? Yeah. Okay, yeah, so if we listen to the whole drums without. Yeah, so that's just taking off some of the tops, adding in a bit more kind of crunch and thickness in the middle. And I actually just really, really like the Redux plugin in Ableton, so that's why I tend to use that before I take things into Logic beforehand, just because it just kind of has a very specific effect, and I love it on my percussion. So you find me using that on pretty much everything. Then yeah, we get the next ice grooves back in, and then we got a pull out. So we've got no sub. Now it's time for the organ. So, got an organ sample in there. I reckon that's just probably from an Ableton pack as well. And then I've got the Echo Boy from Sound Toys on there. So, without. And then with. Just giving it a bit of spacey space echo. Because who doesn't want a bit of space echo? And then we come back in with the kick. So yeah. I'm soloing it. Yeah, so we got another vocal sample here when we come back in with just the kicks and the snares, but no bass yet. Energy. Not sure why that says enter, but yeah, I'll give it a little rename. There we are. Good to keep everything labeled and tagged up. So we've got the energy in there, and then it's time to kick it all back in with the bass as well. And that's the snares coming back in there again as well. The extra reverb and extra layer. And I think we've got a little pull out. And I've got another snare. And the grooves back in there. Oh, and that was it. Another organ. Another little organ riff. So we've gone from, just added a little top note. So this is what the first one looked like. And the second one. Yeah. So yeah, that's down there. And then, oh, in fact, we got. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's like definitely important when you're adding in melodic elements, and then when you've got something that's going to be the main driving force of your track. It's definitely good to have a couple of different versions of the loops to just keep it interesting when you kind of take it up to the next level, add something maybe an octave higher, an extra note, an extra hit. And that's going to keep things going. I mean, I normally would do probably a bit more modulation and automation with a main melodic motif in a track, but kind of keeping with that style of music that I was going for with this one, I thought I kind of want to keep it pretty loopy and keep things pretty similar, and you kind of get those benefits of just hearing the same loop over and over again if you're mashed in a club. So yeah, so where are we? We've got a little, and then vocal samples. pulling things back a little bit, taking out some of these grooves here. And now it's time to start just breaking the track down. And we've got most of the track in here now, at least as I had it in the session view. So you can see kind of how the track was working. There was a final kind of section of breaking it down. We'll go through this a bit quicker. This one's got just the bass in. And now, organ time. Sometimes when you got something like a big old organ line, you just gotta give it to them straight up. One of those ones where you just know in the club it's gonna work. Just the kick and bass, breaking it down, but you can kind of hear the cheers already when when you're going through it. Bit of another groove. So this would have just been, yeah, so I've just basically taken this ice groove before that was every bar and made it every 2 bars for this section here. Bring the other octave up in the organ. Bit of snare. Pulling out that sub, and then we're back in with everything. And that's kind of it, right? Now it's basically groove the track out and you're done. So that's how I would have written kind of the first part of the writing, right? Just kind of get the loops, bring them down, but I don't tend to do too much crazy like automation or anything during this stage, because as you're going to see when we get to the next stage, that's the place to do it. Session view is the place to just like brainstorm ideas, get all the loops down, chuck them together in different combinations, just see how that all sounds, and then make your way down and create a kind of rough arrangement this way. And then what I would then do is stop everything, go back to I'd go over to the arrangement view, stop here, make sure that my cursor was at, the timeline was at the beginning, and then I would just press record, right? And then I would start playing the track in. So let's see, I can actually just probably show you at the end of the project. So click here, start recording. Here we are, great. So I'll just be recording here, and then I just basically start playing the track in. So, and then you press the down key and just go down to the next scene. And if we go over here, you can see it's recording in what I'm playing, right? And everything's being added in live as I'm playing. Right, so just undo that. But you get the idea. So that's how I would have played this in, is that way. And you get a really good sense of how the track's actually working and how it sounds from beginning to end. And I'll like have sections in this session view while I'm writing and think, oh, I want it to be 16 bars or 32 bars in here, and then I'll be playing it in live while I'm recording and think, actually, this is going on too long. Or I'd planned to jump down to the next scene now, but actually I feel like I want a bit more. So then I'll just kind of like do a bit of adjusting as I'm playing it in live, and then you've got a kind of semi-live and semi-rehearsed and pre-made arrangement right there. So now we're moving over to the arrangement view, and this would have been kind of roughly what I would have recorded in, except now's the time to start kind of finessing the arrangement and possibly realizing that there's a few other bits that you want to add in that hadn't been there before. And this is also the perfect place to start adding in all the little fills and the little bits of interest that's going to make the track interesting. So we can see I've got a little snare little snare fill here that I've made. That's obviously a variation, and I'll color it differently, and then just kind of drag that around at different endings. So let's hear the different snare ending here, whatever it was. You hear two versions. You'll hear two versions of the loop, and then at the end of the second one, there's going to be the variation. Right, so that's just got one of those extra reverby snares on it, and then we got one here as well. Yeah, I'm going to solo the kick as well, so you can hear it together. Let's do that again. Right, so it's just got a little tk on the end, and if we hear that with the whole track, then we'll hear what's going on. And then I've also taken out the kick at the beginning of this next section, which is definitely a trick that I like to do quite a lot. Take out the kick, come in a bar later, or sometimes just move the kick one bar over. And yeah, that creates a nice little fill right there. And then we've got another one coming up here. Looks like we've got, yeah. There we are. So yeah, that was another fill here. I'll keep the groove going in the hat so you can hear just the drums. Yeah, so a whole kind of bunch of these are good. I mean, you don't need a whole bunch actually. I've just got 3 here, and then you just place them at the end of kind of certain phrases, and that will just give all sorts of goodness to your track. I've also got some dub hits down here that I added in afterwards. So oh, I got those were soloed. Okay, try that again. So those were these guys. So they're nice to have at the end of phrases as well. I kind of got just a dubs kit that I've made where I've got a few different sounds and then a kind of whole bunch of effects in there which are giving them a kind of dub delay vibes. And then you can kind of see that I've just like gone into sections and just slightly broken them up. I think here I've done the same thing again, taken the kick out. Here I've got a double kick when we re-enter. Sorry, soloed again. So yeah, you can see just kind of adding in all these little bits because I decided that I wanted to keep the main melodic elements very loopy and not do too much modulation or too much changing around of the notes. The percussion is really where you can kind of go to town and do some more interesting little fills. Okay, so then we got a perk hit. That was already in there. These got some reverse crashes coming in here to help ease the transitions. And then another one going forward. I mean, it's a classic move, this one, isn't it? But it does the business. I mean, that one's been quite... I've stuck quite a lot of reverb on that and then rebounced the sample down. But so that makes a kind of smoother vibe. Then I've just kind of got little pull-out sections. So like here, I pull out the organ when we come back in at the end. So this is the final drop. Here we've got this extra little sweep in here. And that's got, some send action. This is a little delay send down here as well. So let's hear what the kind of final drop, the final build up and drop sounds like once we've added the effect sweep and these dub hits down here you'll hear coming in, pulling out the kick and doing a little fill. coming up here. We've got another reverse crash, another little fill, and also pulling out the organ as well. Another dub here. Yeah, that's another thing I really like to do, is bring in elements before the first bit of a 32 or a 16 bar loop. So bring the organ in a couple beats early. Like, that's definitely going to make it a little bit more unusual. And yeah, I do that quite a lot when there's elements. You can see, like here as well, the hats are coming in before the actual drop. And the groove as well, we get it going, and that's kind of becomes part of the fill. I mean, if you listen to the fill itself, we can get that soloed. Let's just listen to the drums and what's going on here. Crash. Yeah, okay, we'll leave the sweep out, but with the organ. And then got the double kick as well, just for extra impact when it comes back in. So it just swoops itself back in, and you're into that final groove. Yeah, you got that little pull out of the organ, another little fill there at the end. That's it, coming up to the end right now. There we go, that is Mox Diamond. That's how I wrote it. And then I would export all those stems, stick them into Logic, and then get cracking with the mix down. And that's not to say that there's not a little bit more refining that goes on in the writing when I'm actually in the mix down project. Like, of course, these things bleed into each other a little bit. So I'll still probably end up doing a couple more fills, chopping up, because then everything's in audio and everything's just like really easy to see in one big loop, one big session. And so yeah, I'll kind of end up probably doing a few more cuts and moving a few more samples around, and then do the mix, and then it'll be good to go. And that's it. So let me take a look at some of the questions and see if I can answer them. Is there a way to cut audio out of an audio clip in session view? I usually resample in arrangement view, but feel there is an easier way to do this. Yeah, so how I do that is I would, in fact, it's kind of what I did on this energy. Was it the energy one? Oh no, this here, which I didn't actually fully do here, but so if we listen to the clip. Energy. But if we go into the clip view here, oh wait, which one was it? Oh, sensation, sorry, my bad. Here. Now I've just gone into this tab here, opened up the envelopes, and then gone to clip, and then volume, which should be the first one. It's automatically done, and then I've taken down the volume here. So if we listen to the whole sample without that clip down, it would have sounded like this. So it's got that really crap sibilance on there. So I'd bring that down there, and actually normally what I would do is freeze track. And then I would flatten it. And now what we've got is it's actually cut that bit out that I had the volume down of, so it will yeah, freeze it and then kind of resample it basically back into whatever sound would be coming out of it. So that's how I would do that. Emmanuel's asking, how much time did it take me to make this track besides the mix? This was definitely a quick one. I reckon probably 2 to 3 hours. It came together super quick. It was one of those ones where I wasn't doing too much kind of complex work with synths or too much creating crazy effects or anything. It was just like cut up a bunch of loops into tiny pieces and stick them together, and then get the organ and the 303 over the top, and then it just kind of wrote itself really after that. Big subline, few snare fills, and yeah, you're good to go. I'd say probably like 2 to 3 hours of writing, then like another hour of like doing all those little bits that I showed you in the arrangement view. Yeah. For my MIDI drum loops, do I normally work with 2-bar loops? That's really kind of dependent on what I want to do. So I wouldn't really say there's anything that is normal there. Sometimes they're much longer. Sometimes they're super short. And Max is asking, do I do all the writing in the DAW with keyboard and mouse, i.e. with no external synths or MIDI controllers? No, it's almost entirely it is all entirely in the box, but I've got a MIDI keyboard, just a Roland 49 key MIDI keyboard, and then I've got a push 2 controller. But I don't have any synths or drum machines or anything like that. Everything is done in Ableton. And Daniel's also asking, when I write melodic or bass sequences, do I more often write with a keyboard or draw in MIDI notes? Almost always do it with a keyboard or with the push controller. It's I rarely draw melodies or bass lines in by hand. Kind of want to get the loop, the drum loop going first, and then I just vibe out for a bit and try and work out what I want to do with the melody. Bilal, I missed your question. Okay, here, let me go back. Still wondering, why do I split the mixing process and Logic? Does it have better rendering or processing? So I'd say for a more in-depth answer than this, go back and watch my video on preparing a track for Mixdown, which you can see on my Patreon page. That one's open to the public, and I kind of explain exactly why I do that in there in depth. But it's not to do with the rendering or how Logic sounds. It's just kind of really how it looks for me personally. That's just a personal preference. But yeah, Max asking, would I say the push is worth it for workflow? I mean, I think once you get kind of used to using the push and you integrate it into the production, there's some elements of it that are really, really fantastic, and I would massively back. I really like how the pads feel. I like how they're set out. It's really easy to kind of just bash away on. I really like the screen, how it's just integrated so perfectly with Ableton, and you get quite a lot of information on the screen. So that's really good. I don't use it. I mean, what I use it for, I say, is writing drum loops, and definitely for writing some melodies as well. In fact, I've kind of moved more and more towards using the push for writing almost anything musical. It's got a really, really good function, which is the scale function. So you can choose whatever scale you want to write in, and then it kind of lights up the notes and lets you know which ones you should play to stay in that scale. And they've got kind of every scale imaginable in there and all the different modes. And, you know, if you want to write a track in Locrian mode, then great. I mean, if you want to do that, but you don't know exactly how to do that on a keyboard, then the push can just light up the keys for you, and you can kind of go to town and create some more unusual melodies with that. But I do still use just the straight up piano-y MIDI keyboard as well, quite a lot too. Do I use any techniques like parallel compression for my drums? Yeah, I do sometimes. And I used to use it loads. Recently, not quite as much, but definitely there's sometimes that I would reach for it. I'm definitely going to do a tutorial on the Patreon page about parallel compression for certain. So yeah. And Paddy's asking, do I usually write the melodic and bass elements first or the drums, or is it dependent on the songs? For me personally, it's always the drums first. Never ever write the melody or the bass first. And that's totally different for other people, for sure. I know some people they like hear a melody and in their mind, and they just like want to get that melody down, and then they'll fit everything else around it. I have another friend, another producer, who always does the bass last, and they feel like if you write the rest of the track, then the bass line kind of writes itself, and that's the easiest bit, so do it at the end. But I tend to go drums, then bass, then melody. I try and get the whole rhythm track grooving first, because I want to make sure that no matter what is going on in the rest of the track, the rhythm section is rocking, and that's going to be what's going to kind of push a track forward in the club and make it effective. So, Adam, is this bad boy getting a reissue? I know it was very close to selling out the record. Maybe it has just sold out right now. I don't know. Yeah, I think if it has sold out, that would have literally been in the last week or so. So we will see, potentially. But it's available digitally for sure, so you can go and get it on the Bandcamp. And yeah, I think that is all the questions, it looks like. So thanks so much, guys, for watching. Again, if you want to watch this back afterwards, or I'm going to write up some notes on it as well, then this is going to be available on the Patreon page. And just there's going to be tons and tons of stuff in there. I'd love it if you'd go check it out. I've kind of got everything written out and explained, and a video explaining what's on offer there. But I think if you're kind of learning production or looking to improve, then there's definitely going to be some stuff in there that you're going to find really, really useful. And yeah, it's been great kind of setting that up and getting it rolling, and the feedback's been great so far, and been amazing to see how many people have come in and subscribed already. So that's been super, super wonderful to see. So big respect to all you folks out there for coming and getting involved, watching the live streams, and getting this little lockdown community thriving. And it's really, really just super great to kind of see everybody get involved and chatting and asking questions, and everybody's learning and working on music. So big respect to all of you. I hope you all write some sick tunes this week, and I'll catch you next week where we'll be doing something different on the live stream. And if you have subscribed to the Patreon, then I'll see you on there, talk over videos on there, or chat over Messenger. And big love, keep it real. And also check out the Holding Hands podcast as well. Put a new episode up last week with Alec Falconer and Harry Wills. Tons of good stuff in there which they're going on about. You can learn loads of shit from them, and there's going to be loads of new episodes of that. I've been recording them like crazy during the lockdown. Going in, I've got another 7 basically done. And next up, I've got Nathan McKay and Peach, and then we got one with Bradley. They're talking about production stuff. But then we got Bradley Zero and Dr. Banana talking about being like a label boss and kind of the most effective way of getting demos to labels, and like the kind of format that you should be sending them in, giving yourself the best chance of getting your music heard in the way that you want it to be heard, and kind of the best way how to put your best foot forward when it comes to trying to get signed to a label. And then I've got all sorts of other wicked wicked people on there as well. We got PR people, we got more producers. So it's all really, really helpful information for any new or kind of producers that have been around for a while and want to learn some shit. But all right, I'm gonna say goodbye now, end the stream. You guys have a lovely Sunday, and I'll see you on another time. Keep it real on the later jams.